Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You caught the breaking news a minute ago here. Let me roll the windows down. It's a little warm here. We'll have to turn this down a little. Breaking news today. This is GMO Tuesday. You have got GMO Tuesday on the dial. On the dial. I got to put the glasses on, folks. A little bright here this afternoon. A little after 2 o'clock here in the Midwest. Of course, a breaking news out of San Francisco this morning. Judge denies Monsanto's summary judgment based on, hang on here. New ruling, U.S. judge in the Roundup cancer litigation says plaintiffs have presented evidence from which a reasonable jury could conclude that glyphosate can cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at human relevant doses, and they denied Monsanto's motion for summary judgment. I will have this in the link, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a link to the motion so you can take a look at it, and we'll go from there. This is big. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. Huge, this decision. I don't know how to stress this enough. This is huge. How is your day going? I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Speechless! I do not believe it, but, of course, some of the opening statements, the plaintiffs, they said, look, we're going to show you documents. And I sent Monsanto New database exposed to them. Hopefully, it might help. I don't know, but Google that, ladies and gentlemen. Monsanto New database exposed. You're going to see a bevy. I was reading something on there this morning, and it flat out said, I want to know if I'm eating this GMO food or not. I don't want it on my table. And these were internal emails going back and forth. So there is a big deal going on. I'm going to show you some pictures, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about the non-GMO project. My buddy, and people think that Nick and I hate each other. I don't know. Nick has never actually said he doesn't dislike me, so I don't know. Maybe he does dislike me. But I got nothing against Nick. He's a decent kid. He's doing what he thinks is right over there on No Ideas Media. Check him out, No Ideas Media. He comes up with some good stuff. But a while back, he did something, that kind of banged him. Oh, cloverleaf. What is cloverleaf? Because of the non-GMO, the butterfly label, you know what that is. Let me see, where did I put those pictures yesterday? I was at Mama Jean's. Mama Jean's, of course. You can see, Wilson and I were visiting Mama Jean's, the natural food store. Ready to eat wild sockeye salmon. But they're not, I can understand the salmon to a point. They're not GMO and the sockeye, only the Atlantic. And this is the issue that Nick raised in his video. Somebody complained to Clover and said, hey, you guys are crazy. Why are you doing this? So anyways, and I said, that's Clover. What do you expect from Dollar General? This is a high-end natural food store that we're in now. I want you to look at this. Crown Prince. Fancy white crab meat. You see that non-GMO? Are we GMO and crab? Crown Prince. Baby clams. Are we GMO and clams? How about this one? What is this one here? Oh. Wild Alaska pink salmon. Now with the salmon, I can kind of understand it. Yes. But here's another one. Sardines. Are we GMO and sardines? Something to think about. And this is what I have. I've got calls in and I haven't got responses yet. And I'm wondering why. Maybe they think they're stupid now and they've got their covers pulled. I want to ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not GMOing something, does it require a GMO, what is that, the non-GMO verified? Do we need something verified? How about the cereal? How about the cereal? Now I want to ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. If they're not labeling the cereal properly, for example, non-GMO verified with a little butterfly, and you're getting poison on your table, shouldn't you be suing the cereal company and not the person who made the corn, the Monsanto people? Not the grower of the corn. Those are business people. They're doing business, just like the cereal person's doing business. However, it's the cereal manufacturer that's putting you in harm's way, not Monsanto, technically. Technically, and I think this is how Monsanto gets away with everything. Technically, we sue the wrong people. Center for Food Safety, Mr. Kimbrell, think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. Should we be suing the EPA, the FDA, and the USDA? You bet your sweet bippy. Who allowed that process to happen? Who allowed that junk in the food supply? Monsanto didn't allow it in the food supply. And you guys know I'm not defending Monsanto here. I'm just saying, hey, maybe we don't have the ducks in a row and they do. Think about that for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that for a minute, because Crown Prince is non-GMO in sardines, that we don't have any GMO sardines anywhere. So why would we need a label on sardines to say it's non-GMO? Why don't we have GMO labels in the grocery stores for the corn? Hello, 92% of corn grown? Huh? And there's no label on the corn. There's no sign saying this is GMO corn. This is great corn. This is GMO corn. This is great corn. One of the internal emails was from 1997. And it stipulated that if GMO food is labeled, it would be a disaster because we'd go bankrupt. Monsanto knew. Database exposed, ladies and gentlemen. You check that out. You check that out. And I have a question for you. Whom do your elected officials represent? Whom do your elected officials represent? That is how Monsanto got in our food supply. It was our elected officials. Start asking the right questions. Start voting for the right people. Quit voting for these Democrats that want to greenlight everything and take your money and make you a hater. I don't get that part, but that's just me. That's just me. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I've kind of leaned Democrat my entire life until the last 15 years. Until the last 15 years, I started saying, hey, whoa, wait a minute. You guys are way out there. There is no way. And then I started looking, and you know what? Since 1988, we've kind of had the same mindset. The same mindset. And think about who endorsed Hillary Clinton. George E. Boy Bush. Jeb Bush. The entire Bush family endorses Hillary Clinton. Tell me the same party hasn't been in office the last 30 years. Give me a break, give me a break, give me a break. Whom do your elected officials represent? It's time to ask that question, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to ask that question. I got a couple things going on here. I want you guys all to remember something here. A Monsanto scientist, Donna Farmer, stipulated, there's been no testing on glyphosate and cancer. There's been no testing. There has been now. Gina McCarthy, remember? Gina McCarthy told us there has never been a test. There had never been a test on the final solution. And there's a big difference in testing glyphosate for something and all the material in the final solution that you spray on everything and it gets on you, your legs, you're breathing it gets in your eyes, whatever. Because they told you it was safe, you don't feel you need face protection. You don't think you need personal protection equipment when you apply herbicides and you don't know what you're doing because you've never taken an applicator's course with the USDA or your local agriculture commission. I go get it every year. I do farm it. I go check with the USDA to see what's new, to see, I gotta know. What happens if I spray something and I don't know it's gonna poison the dog? My neighbor wants to shoot me. Cut it out, what in the world? This goes back to what I have been saying for 10 years. A little common sense will take you a long way. Popeye Gordon and your fake screen name. Moron. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to get personal. Anyways, there's a reason I bring this up on the final solution. There is a reason. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, if I get any more breaking news, I will cut in during this podcast if I have any more. And I'm going to be checking right now as we're talking. But I want to talk to you just a minute about Roundup for Lawns. Roundup for Lawns is making your lawn beautiful. We got the Roundup for you, and everybody thinks it's glyphosate in the Roundup for Lawns. It is not. Again, how did this get approved? How did this get approved? When 5 states are completely banning dicamba, and dicamba is in Roundup for Lawns. MCPA, it is an acid. Quincloric, dicamba, and sulfenitrazone. Those are the 4 active ingredients in Roundup for Lawns. There's no test on the final solution. No tests. How does that get on the shelf when, now I know in Missouri, I researched it yesterday, Missouri will stop the use of dicamba on July 15th. That's 5 days from now. But they're selling it off the shelves. How come? How has this been allowed to happen when all these states are saying, no, you got to stop, we're going to ban it, blah, 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 blah. So, but I will, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be, we'll definitely be, let me see if I can, maybe I need to clear my whatchabooger here so we can get some new stuff on my tablet. But if I get any more updates on the glyphosate issue from the court, remember I am tied in, and I will get in the link, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get a link in the thing. If you want to follow it live, you can follow it live. Although I'll still give you updates regardless of what tinfoil hat Popeye Gordon says. I'll still bring you updates because people want it. They definitely want it. Let me see here. Welcome to reality. Boy, howdy, huh? What I'm going to do is I'm going to tag into Carrie Gillum because she's covering the trial. She is at the trial as we speak, and that is who I've been getting my information from and my updates from on 1 hour ago, totally separate from state Johnson lawsuits. We have today a ruling in federal MDL Roundup cancer litigation versus Monsanto. Plaintiffs win this round, but barely see the filing here. I'll go take a look at that real quick, and we'll see what that is. But the fact, let me see, Roundup liability litigations, all actions, the question in the early phases of the proceedings, causation. The general causation phase is whether a reasonable jury could conclude glyphosate, a commonly used herbicide, and here again, they've got it classified as an herbicide. It's not an herbicide. How did that happen? USDA, FDA, EPA. How did that happen? How have they been able to classify it the way they have when it's not what they're getting it classified as? Pecuniary greed at its finest? Ask Wilson, he'll tell you. Pecuniary greed at the highest levels of our government and in our associations, in the agencies and regulatory committees that are supposed to be protecting myself, you, and your children. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Just think about it. But let's talk about this Roundup Ready lawn care product. Let's talk about the Roundup for Lawns. The Roundup for Lawns, ladies and gentlemen, it has those 4 things in it. If you have, now, this is what MCPA does. This is on the MDSD, or what is it? Yeah, the MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheet. Okay? This is what OSHA requires. Not California. OSHA requires the hazards on your material data safety sheets. Okay? Slurred speech, twitching, spasms, unconsciousness, elevated heart rates. all from MCPA. Quinloric, if it inhaled, it becomes a skin irritant. In other words, you can get a rash. Dicamba, loss of appetite, vomiting, shortness of breath, slowed heart rate. It affects the central nervous system. You can get excited. It can cause depression. The sulfenitrazone is a sulfur product. Sulfur products are in almost everything now. We know sulfur smells like rotten eggs and blah, 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 blah. What exactly sulfenitrazone is, I didn't see any negative body things to it. But combine all those issues. Combine all these issues. You get rashes, slurred speech, twisting, spasms, unconsciousness, loss of appetite, vomiting, and on and on and on. And they'll say, oh, wait a minute, you got slow motor functions. That looks like a stroke to me. And that's how all these symptoms come up. A stroke. But yet, they go away and you get okay for a while. Then they balloon into something called lymphoma. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something called CMV, and I'm in the Midwest and I'm seeing a lot of it. I don't know the scientific term or the Latin for CMV. Everything I read off there is a symptom of CMV. It is created and it is caused. All the medical people I've talked to tell me it is chemical exposure. I'm in the heartland, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in the heartland. Get the maps out. Do the homework. Correlation is not causation. My ass. Poppycock. Pardon my language. That is the biggest load of crap anybody could lay out there. When I was a kid, gluten-free was, you got beat upside your head. Sugar-free. You got smacked. What do you mean? You're not putting sugar in my cake. Gluten-free. Gluten is part of your diet. It's always been there. Why is it bad now? Oh, oops. Could it be that the gluten that creates these gluten issues for people doesn't have iron, doesn't have zinc, doesn't have potassium, doesn't have calcium, manganese, magnesium? Could it be? Because that's what glyphosate does to the wheat when they spray the wheat. That they have gotten classified as a antibiotic. How do you get an herbicide classified as an antibiotic and everything they've got it, and they get around everything by saying it's a harvesting process. They get around everything by plays on words and manipulating the language, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. Whom do your elected officials represent? That is who has allowed Monsanto into our food supply. Now, I know the argument is going to be, well, you can't sue them for doing their job in a government position. There's something in law called personal capacity. Personal capacity dictates that any reasonable person would know that is wrong. So in their personal capacity, they are guilty as hell of taking the money and greenlighting these companies. Because they know, make no mistake about it, they know what they're doing. They took the money. If you don't think for 1 minute, Debbie let me stab my constituents in the back, stabbing them now, didn't know what she was doing, did not know what she was doing. You're crazy. You're crazy. I got to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the station. That's how it works. If you can donate, help keep the lights on, hit the website and help us out. It's time to run. Let's have a great day. Let's all be safe out there and tune in for more updates on the Monsanto trial.